an amount necessary or sufficient to have a significant effect or to achieve a result. This is critical mass.
Greetings, my fellow human beings on our precious planet Earth. This is Pamela Tartar, and you are listening to Critical Mass on Pure Momentum Network. I trust we are all learning more about our true nature and maturing into who and what we are, multifaceted creations of and with purpose. Of and with purpose. There's a reason for us. Last week, in the first hour, I presented two programs that are running in almost all Americans. The Patriot Program and the program that attacks in every way the true nature of women. And then in the second hour, I presented my take on the parallels between the red humans' decimation and the white humans' eugenic programs that are running right now. And I dedicated this second hour to Russell Means, who was a Lakota warrior, activist, leader, visionary, and actor, and he passed over in October of 2012. I invite you to go back and listen to those shows if you did not get to listen to them yet. They really are good shows. Now, today, this show, we're going to talk about three of our features. You hear me talk about our features and potentials that are part of being a human being. They're not something that we have to pay for, like an add-on with a car that you pay extra to get a sunroof or something. No, these come with our package. This is part of who we are. It's been hidden from us, and we need to uncover it. So today, I'm going to talk about three features. First hour, I'm going to talk about intention, what it is and what it does and how important it is. And the second one is intuition. And that'll cover the first hour. I'm going to try to get it in the first hour. In the second hour, I'm going to present information on imagination, which is the third feature today that we're going to talk about, and the pineal gland, the third eye. It's an exciting show. I'm sure that you're going to enjoy it. So I invite you to become members so that you can be with us in the second hour for imagination and the pineal gland. Now I'm going to start with intention. And I'm actually going to start with a story. Now, when I was young, my younger brother had a black lab. And he was a perfect companion. I can't remember his name. Isn't that horrible? But he fished with my youngest brother in the ocean. Literally, he would go out and catch fish in his mouth. And he would be with my brother like a brother all the time. He slept at the foot of his bed. They went everywhere together. My brother talked to him just like he would talk to another human being. I mean, he was a true member of our family. And everywhere they went, they were together. And I never ever saw this black lab upset or doing anything negative or anything that wasn't just a precious person. I mean, that's who he was. He was always loving and happy and obedient. Well, he was the actuality of man's best friend. Literally, you could have put his picture beside the definition of man's best friend. Well, we were reared in Florida, and it happens that at this time, the banana boats were unloading, and they brought a poisonous frog to our land, and we were warned about it. I mean, they told us on TV and the radios that there was this poisonous frog and you didn't want it to bite you or your animals because bad things would happen. Well, that's what happened. And our precious lab was bitten. and he began foaming at the mouth, and he was growling, and he became dangerous, almost like he was rabid. And so Daddy put him in a room and closed the door so he couldn't get to anybody, and called the vet. And the vet said he had to be put down, that there was nothing that could be done for it, that this was something new, and there was just no other way. And, well, of course, it was horrible. And meanwhile, Mother had taken my youngest brother, this was his brother practically, this lab, had taken him away so he wouldn't see what was going on. But the poison had changed this lab. He was not able to be true to his nature of being just an amazing person. He became something else. And he was suffering so horrifically, and he was dangerous. And he had to be removed from us, and then he was put down. He could not be to his true nature because he had poison in him, which had changed everything. I'm sure that he was in so much torment that he couldn't even think about anything except that something was really wrong. I mean, it was just horrible. So it's the same way with us. We are being poisoned in every way. Our air, our food, our water, our homes, our everywhere we go are being poisoned with electronics and radiation and whatnot. We are being poisoned, and it's very difficult for us to find our true nature and to be and do who and what we really are. And we need to be aware of our intentions. We need to be aware of what we do, because our intentions make the difference between whether something is a tool or a weapon. And the same thing can be a tool or a weapon according to your intention and my intention. So it's really important that we understand what intention is. Intention is very powerful. And intention happens in the heart. That's where truth happens, in the heart. And I have been working from the heart chakra area since 1990. Now, before that, I was working with the solar plexus area connected into the heart. But since 1990, I've been working directly from the heart. That's where we are now. We are in the place where we need to connect to our heart and listen to our heart. Now, I've always used the brain and the heart. And I've known about the brain and the heart for many, many years. Well, recently, I saw in a science magazine, and I don't know the name of it. It might have been Nexus. No, it wasn't. It was something that started with an O, but I can't remember. Anyway, the scientists have found that there is actually brain cells in the heart. So whether anybody proves anything or not, if I know it's correct and I use it and it works, I don't need that scientific backup. For me, I don't. I know some people do, but there are many, many things that you're not going to get that backup. You need to have the experience. But anyway, over the years, I have invited students and listeners to learn the language of the heart, because your heart knows your intention. Your heart will not fool you. Your brain and your head will. That's its job. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But these days, it's quite difficult to know one's own intention. There is so much bombarding us, and there are so many programs running on us and in us that it's very, very difficult to know our own intention. And I often say, if you're thinking a thought and you think, well, where did that come from? I've never thought like that before. You need to take a look. It may not be your thought. It may be planted there from someone else. And the same thing is with intention. If you are not clear on your intention, you should stop everything and get clear on it, because your intention is what makes a tool, either a tool or a weapon. It's the same thing. It's what you intend to do with it. For instance, guns. No matter what the progressives or the anti-gun people say, guns do not hurt people, ever. Guns are inanimate objects. It is the intention of the person holding that gun that makes the difference in whether it is a tool or a weapon. Now, if I need to shoot a bunch of snakes in my backyard, I am intending to use that as a tool to get rid of some snakes that are really dangerous and going to hurt me. If someone has gone nuts because they're on psychotropic drugs, which is what has happened a lot lately, then they are not aware of what they're doing, and they pick up that gun and they use it as a weapon because they're not right in the head. They're not right because they have drugs that are messing with them. Just like my dog's story, it had poisons and it lost its ability to be true to its own nature. And that's what happens with the pharmaceuticals and with the programming that's happening to us today. But intention is the difference. You know, the guy that just went nuts at the university, I think it was in California, he killed a couple of people and he knifed a couple of people. But you don't hear him saying that we need to stop knives. Let's stop selling knives. We don't need knives anymore. What are they good for? Nothing. Stop it. You don't hear that. You hear get rid of the guns. And one is just as insane as the other, because the intention of the person holding that inanimate object makes the difference as to whether it's a tool or a weapon. So the insanity is everywhere. We need to be aware of it, and we need to know what our intention is about everything we do. We cannot just float through life and just do whatever without knowing what our intention is, because it has an effect, you know. Business asks us to con people and to deceive them to close a deal. Now, mortgages, the word mortgage means mort, death, and gage is a Middle Eastern word that was used back in the 14th century that has to do with pledge or risking something. And so all the bankers know what a mortgage is. And lately, it's been very, very clear they know what it is, because the mortgages have been used to actually steal from people, steal their money, and then after many years, steal the property that they thought they had paid for. And so the mortgage debacle is a clear example of intention. Those bankers intend to get what they're going to get through conning you and not letting you know what's really happening. And just because it's business does not excuse you. I mean, we all know that the guards in the concentration camps were just doing their jobs. They were told they were getting paid, and they were supporting their family by working in a concentration camp and keeping the people enslaved in those concentration camps and tortured. That does not excuse them because they were told to do this. Their intention was what? Their intention was to enslave someone for the money they were going to get. And the intention makes all the difference in the world. You just can't do something because it's your business or it's your job. It's not right. Okay, the brain in your head is there to work through and give you support for what it is that you think you need to do. For instance, you need a job to pay your bills and to support your family. So your brain helps you work out how to do that. And if it means that you have to con me and lie to me in order to make a sale, your brain will help you do that, because that's what the brain does. Now, the heart, on the other hand, is the place that tells you the truth. Your heart is the place that tells you what your true intention is. And when you find out what your true intention is, you're going to be on the other side of business, on the other side of most of our systems in our world. You know that there is a negative connotation about used car salespersons because everyone feels like they know what they're doing. They know that that car is not right, but they've got to have a job. So they sell you this piece of crap car, take your money, and you don't have a good car that you came in there to get. What is the intention of that person? The intention was to deceive you so that he could have a paycheck. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of business is about. A lot of business. That's how far we've come in our society from what it really should be and what we wanted it to be. And of course, that's all been done by the opposition to all life and all of its forms. You hear me talk about the doctors and the medical system, and they darn well know what they're doing. When people have extreme back pain and they send them to the pain clinic, do you know what those pain clinics are about? Getting you addicted to drugs, to morphine and worse. And people can't get off that. And that doctor knows that's what's happening. But it's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. That's what he spent all of his years in school for, is to learn how to do this. So he goes by the book. And his intention is to send you in a direction that is going to harm you, that is going to get you hooked on drugs, and then you're really going to be in the system. The medical system also knows that psychotropic drugs are horrific. They know that you can't just say, look, this is horrible, I'm getting off of these things, because really bad things happen when you get off of them. You have to get off of psychotropics over 6 months to a year, very slowly. That's how damaging they are to us. Do not tell me that these doctors, these medical people, and these scientists don't know this, because they absolutely do. What is their intention? Their intention is to make money. And it doesn't matter about what happens to the people that are going to be taking these psychotropic drugs and what happens to our society because of it. And we know about that. We know that all of these school shootings and all of these other crazy things that have been happening with people, they're all on psychotropic drugs. And it affects them to the point that they can't be natural. So a person's intention definitely has an effect on individuals and on our society. And we're reaping the effects of that in our society today, just by the things I just named out. When we go to our heart to find the truth about our intention, we'll find it, because our heart doesn't play games with us. Our heart gives us the absolute truth, where our brain is there to help us do what we feel and think we must do. And it does it very well. So when we're clear on that, we can't just logically think through, well, I've got to have a job. And even though I know that solar panels don't work very well right now because of all the metal in the air from chemtrails, and because the sun isn't quite as hot and bright as it used to be, and all these other informations that they know, they still go out and sell solar panels. Why? Because they're a good salesperson and they want that money. What is their intention? Their intention is to con you into believing that the solar panels will work the way they always have. So what is the intention? The heart will tell you what your intention is. People don't want to go there because they need the money, they want the prestige from being the #1 salesperson. Whatever it is that they think they need to do, the brain will help them do it, because that is the brain's job. The heart's job is to tell us the truth. So it is imperative that we go to the heart brain and figure out what our intention is. And you know, a lot of times people darn well know what their intention is, but we have been entrained and programmed that if business tells us to do it or an authority figure tells us to do it, it's okay, even though it's inhumane and totally against our nature. And we know that's not true. People fool themselves, say, oh yeah, I can do this because I'm good at this. Well, it doesn't matter. Your intention is to harm another person, and that is going to come back on you. Karma is real. What you put out is coming back. Everything is cyclical. And if you've been doing that to people, you look out because you've got something coming to you. Human beings rarely consider their intentions. We just do what we must do to get through the day. To be part of the job, the J-O-B, to be part of the church, you do whatever rules they say to do, no matter how crazy they are. To be part of some social group, we've got to meet all of those requirements. To be part of a political party. And you know, people, just like I do, that it doesn't matter what you can say or what you can prove. If someone's a Republican, by God, they're going to go down as a Republican and they're going to defend them to the death, even if you can prove to them something's not correct. And I'm not picking on the Republicans. They're all the same. Rarely do we look at our intentions. This is immature and underdeveloped. This is immature and underdeveloped. A maturing person is responsible for what they do, and they understand that their actions and their words have consequences and effects. That's what a mature person knows. Now, a little child, an immature person, doesn't understand how hurtful it is to say bad names to somebody or to do something else to hurt them. We make excuses for that because that's a small child and they're learning. But when we've got 50-year-old people doing it, there's no excuse for being a kid then. We can't afford to be infantile anymore. We absolutely must mature. And that's part of my message right now. We've got to get back to our true nature and mature in that nature. Part of that is knowing your intention and behaving in alignment with your intention. And stop conning yourself. Stop lying to yourself that you've got to do this because it's your job, when you darn well know it's not correct and it's against your nature. It's going to come back on you. I'm telling you, you will pay for it. And the opposition to all life that has set up the order of business and the thing that is coercing you to go against your nature absolutely does not care and actually wishes that this will do you in. So they don't care if you have to pay for what you've done. They get what they want. Now, another story, my youngest brother is coming to mind a lot when I'm preparing this show. When he was about 2 or 3 years old, he used to put his hands over his eyes. And because he couldn't see you, he felt like you couldn't see him. Now, if an adult does that, we think they're retarded. You know, they're not right in the head. They are not developed. Well, in a little child, they're just learning things. And so they don't have much life experience. And honestly, when he was 2 or 3, he really believed that you could not see him. And I thought, that's what this is. The brain does its job. And what it does is not show us that there's going to be an effect to our actions. What the brain does is it helps us figure out how to do what it is that we have thought we must do. And that is the brain's job, and it does it so well. The heart's job is to tell us the truth. And we have a saying that says, go to the heart of the matter. That's the truth. That's where it is. It's in the heart. And the heart brain, those brain cells that are in the heart, there is a brain in the heart. And we need to be aware of that and utilize that. We can no longer sit by and just go by our head brain. We just can't do it because we're staying in a retarded state. We're staying in an underdeveloped state and we can't afford it any longer. We're at critical mass. We're at the tipping point where choices must be made and are being made every day. They are being made every day. And the beauty of it is that you get to choose for yourself and I get to choose for myself. That's the beauty of it. And so you can choose to do whatever you want. But I want to present information so you have more criteria to make a better choice from. Now, you may not choose to use the information, but at least it's out there. And I'm going to do my best to give you what I know. I appreciate my brain in my head for what it does so very well. And I do offer gratitudes for my amazing brain. But I also offer gratitudes for my heart brain, because that's where I get the truth. And that's where I know what my intention is if I'm in any kind of a quandary or if I'm questioning it. You know, maturity equals being responsible. When someone is immature or not developed yet, we don't expect them to be responsible. That's why we have laws saying that someone under 18 can't even sign a contract because they're too immature. They're not responsible enough to know what they're doing. And so if you do, by some means, con an 18-year-old or younger into signing something, it won't hold up in court because that person has not reached maturity. And so maturity is being responsible, and we've got to be responsible. We have to mature. There is no choice at this point. If humanity is to exist, if humanity is to remain even on this planet, we've got to mature and become responsible for our words and our actions. And everything that the opposition to all life does is to make us feel it's okay to be irresponsible. And of course, that's one of the traits of a psychopath. And that is someone who is not like the rest of us. They are not true humans. And because you cannot be a human being and be irresponsible and not have compassion and not have empathy for what it is that you're doing and saying to other human beings and other life forms. A mature human being gathers lots of criteria from which to make a choice or decision. Well, a decision to be something or to act out something or in a certain way. Part of that criteria is, what is my intention? What is my intention? And often I say, when lies have been told about me, that's impossible because that's not in me. It could never come out. And one thing we need to remember is that we can't give something we don't have. I don't care how much I want to give you $1 million. I don't have it. I can't give it. And it's the same way with intention. If I do not have a good intention, I cannot give a good intention. I cannot act in a way that would be in alignment with a good intention. At the same time, if I don't have a bad intention, I can't do that either. So our intention is very crucial, and it is a feature of being human. I know that the opposition to all life works very hard on all its levels and layers to keep us from knowing who and what we are truly in alignment with our true nature. But intention is a part of who we are. It's one of our features that comes with the package. It's not an add-on. You don't pay extra for it. It's part of us. And we need to stop listening to the programs and be who and what we are, because it's time for us to know that. It's time for us to mature into that. Ignorance is not bliss. It is dangerous. There are consequences and effects to everything we say and do. And we know about that because bullying has become a really big deal to address lately. To move from the retarded state that the opposition to all life has programmed us to stay in, to be infantile, is irresponsible. We must know our intentions and be responsible for our words and actions. It's part of maturing. When we know our intentions, we can choose to correct them if they need correcting, or we can affirm them if they don't need correcting. If our choices are in alignment with our true nature, there's no stress and no worry about what's going to come back and bite us. And I have heard people speak about, well, there was a president that said, if the American people ever find out what we've done, we won't be able to walk down any street. And that's how it is. When you have bad intentions and your actions follow in alignment with that, you're going to get caught at some point. It will. I know you think it won't, but it absolutely will. It is a law of nature. What goes around comes around. We can always notice that the opposition to all life and all their systems are pulling us away from our true nature, and they do not want us to see what our intention is. They don't want us to know that, because when we do, we will see it and we'll say, oh my God, I cannot believe that's what that was. Because people really do not understand that just because you're getting paid to do something doesn't make it okay. It just means that somebody has conned you into doing something against your true nature. Lying to get a sale is not possible when you're in alignment with your true nature. Manipulating people to go against their better interest is not possible when you're acting in alignment with your true nature. When your intention is pure and clear, you can't do any of those things. It's not possible. There are times when I allow a person to lie to me and think they are manipulating me to a certain point, in order to be sure that they clearly know what it is that they are doing, and to present the opportunity to make a different choice, to come back to their true nature. Now, while this is happening, people think, oh man, she's a piece of cake. She's easy. She's vulnerable. No, I'm not. You cannot make a choice if there isn't a choice. So I'm all about offering choices. And if it means that I am going to get hurt a little bit, I have a limit. But if it means I'm going to be hurt because this person thinks they're manipulating me, or they're trying to con me, or they're selling me a bill of goods, like I talk about down south, where they say, don't buy a pig in a poke. That means don't buy something in a bag that you can't see what's in there because you don't know what you're going to end up with. That's what these people do. It's psychopathic behavior. I know what it is. I recognize it. But to a certain point, I will allow someone to go down that street with me because they can see what they're doing clearly and they can make a different choice. And that's what I want. I want people to make the choice to be in alignment with their true nature, because their true nature is amazing and wonderful. Well, if we see clearly what our intentions are, we can work with tools. We can have the weapons we need when we are in alignment with our true nature and use them correctly, because the intention is correct. So it's I need to end this intention part of the talk right now, and we're going to go to a network break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about intuition. And that's an amazing part of being a human as well. So we'll be right back after a few network words. And you're listening to Pamela Tartar. The show is Critical Mass on Pure Momentum Network.
The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination. Albert Einstein.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Pamela Tartar. I host Factor 9 on Pure Momentum Network. Factor 9 is a show where I interview guests on various subjects crucial to human beings at this time and space. You be a factor with us, and together, multiplied, we will get the result we're searching for. Come join us on Factor 9. Pamela Tartar, Factor 9, Pure Momentum Network.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Deborah Taveras of StopTheCrime.net, and I welcome you to Stop the Crime on the Pure Momentum Network. I am committed to exposing the ongoing war being waged not only against all American people, but the entire global population by international central banking cabals and their minions. We will be talking to you about the silent weaponized systems of assaults upon the population, which will help to define what everybody knows: something is terribly wrong. The corporate banking system has created the illusion that we have a legitimate government, and we do not. This corporate structure has gradually taken control of our country's economy, legal system, intelligence, military, scientific, and political operations. Only by understanding your reality will you be able to engage in solutions, and there are solutions. And we must engage. We must help others. We must live in right conduct and not be afraid. Visit us on the Pure Momentum Network and StopTheCrime.net.
Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect. Mark Twain.
Intuition is what we're going to talk about in this part of the first hour. This is Pamela Tartar. You're listening to Critical Mass on Pure Momentum Network, and welcome back from that little break. Intuition is a natural ability to know something without proof or evidence. It's a guidance to act a certain way, not understanding why you're acting that way. It's a quick and ready insight. It's knowledge or conviction without rationale or proof. That's intuition. You know, we've all had the feeling that something's wrong, and we can't put our finger on what it is. We just know something isn't right, and that allows us to be very aware and more careful than usual. We don't know what it is, but our antenna has grabbed something. That's intuition. Now, some of us know the phone's getting ready to ring. And there were years when I was spot on that. I knew when the phone was going to ring and who it was most of the time. Not so much anymore. Now, a couple of months ago, I felt like I would be meeting someone from Ireland. I knew it was going to be a man, and I knew it had something to do with Pure Momentum Network. Well, about 4 weeks ago, I met this man, and I interviewed him on Factor 9, Walter Graham, on fluoride. I was really confused in the beginning because his Skype said UK on it. And so I was still looking for someone from Ireland. But come to find out, Walter's from Northern Ireland. So he was the one that my intuition was telling me, now somebody's coming from Ireland, and they're going to be a man, and they have something to do with Pure Momentum. So that was fulfilled. Sometimes we don't know. We never know what would have happened if we would not have listened to our intuition. But sometimes, like the Walter Graham person from Ireland, you do know. So it's nice when you can have that confirmation. But there is more unseen than seen in our world. And intuition is information from that unseen part of our world. If it is used and applied like a muscle, it will get stronger. And you know how it is when you've been sick and your muscles atrophy. You wouldn't dare do the same thing with your muscles in your legs or your arms or whatever is atrophied that you did before that happened. You just wouldn't do it. And that's how it is with intuition. As you use it, as you pay attention, it becomes stronger. Now, I'm going to tell a few stories here because this will pull your mind to times when you have had intuition and you used it. Years ago, I think it was 2007, David and I were aware that it was time for us to look for another home. And so we were looking at homes in the area to buy. And we had made an appointment with this guy, and I had driven up. It was on a cul-de-sac. We had driven up and parked in front of the house, and we looked at each other, and we said, this one's it. It was not what we wanted. It didn't look like what we wanted, but we are committed to what is best for us and for all creation. And there is a best, by the way. There is one. And we looked at each other and said, well, I don't know how happy I am about it, but this is the one. And it was the one. And we did buy it. And it went, the deal went through very quickly. Well, that had to do with intuition. We knew it was time to start looking for a house. We looked for a house. This was like the second or third house. And as we drove and sat in front of the house, we hadn't been in yet. We hadn't gotten out of the car. We knew this was it. Well, this was also the home that was taken in the tornado, May 22, 2011. And I was in that home with our 2 dogs. And I lived through that horrific tornado, the strongest one in North America. And as is with lots of things, we did not get the truth about that, especially people that were not there. But another story about intuition that has to do with the tornado. About 2 weeks before the tornado came through, I had this intuition, very, very strong intuition, that something was really wrong, and it was coming to my area, my street, my home. And I could not shake it. And I thought it was something like martial law, or, you know, how you hear all the stories. I didn't know what it was, but I felt like it was something so horrendous that it was like martial law and FEMA camp type stuff. I mean, really bad. So I contacted Mama Earth and I said, Mama Earth, this extreme tension and this horrific feeling I'm having, I'm ready to call David home from work and say, let's get out of here now and just get in the car and drive, not knowing where I'm going or why I'm going. It's just that bad. And she said to me, Pamela, you are exactly where you need to be. We need you to be right where you are. Don't be afraid. You are where you're supposed to be for your purpose. Well, that's all you have to tell me. And so I did tell David about it, and we didn't go anywhere, but boy, the intensity. I was expecting something to come, but I wasn't expecting a tornado. I was expecting the boots on the ground, actually. But then, 2 weeks later, the biggest tornado in North America hit, and I was in that home where I felt that, where we had the intuition about us buying that place. So intuition is very real. It's a huge part of my life. And it's not because I'm special. It's because it's part of the feature of being a human being. We all have it. I use mine. I exercise it. It's a very strong muscle. And I expect it to communicate with me. I expect that to happen. And when it does, I pay attention. I guess I'll share one more story. Well, I'm not really finished with that tornado thing. I want to share one more thing. When the first alarm went off for the tornado, I picked up the phone and I called David at work, and it took me 3 or 4 times to get to him because I couldn't see, and I was trying to punch the buttons, and I kept getting this guy, and I kept saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I can't see very well, and I absolutely must get a hold of my husband." And I said, "Please don't get mad. I really do have difficulty seeing." And so I would apologize every time. Well, I finally got to David, and I said, "David, the alarm's going off. Don't leave the building. And I'm not getting off this phone until you promise me you're not leaving the building." And he promised me. At that point, I hung up. The second tornado alarm went off. I mean, it was intense. I don't know how they make it more intense, or if it was just my awareness picking up that it was much more intense. Well, I hollered for our dogs. And, I really put some intensity in their names, and headed toward the bathroom, back the hall. I did not go where we had discussed that I would go if something happened. I didn't go there. I knew exactly where I was going, and I headed there. And our youngest dog doesn't obey like the oldest dog does. Well, the oldest dog beat me in there. The youngest dog was messing around. I don't know what he was doing, as usual. And I got thrown inside the bathroom, which was the only room that was left in our home. And, of course, the older dog, Rembrandt, was with me. The younger dog, I felt, was dead because I couldn't even open the door. There was so much stuff up against the door, I couldn't open it. And I kept calling his name and calling his name. And I didn't hear him whine or anything. But we did not know until midnight that night, when they were searching for me in all the rubble and had chainsaws cutting down walls and stuff. They found our youngest dog, who didn't make it in the bathroom with me. And he had been, fortunately, knocked out. And he was under some furniture, and he was safe. And boy, were we ever grateful. But the intuition to call David was important, because if he had tried to get in the car and come get me, we could have had trouble with him. But he was safe in that building. Hardly anything happened where he was. And that was so absolutely amazing. And I knew that. My intuition told me that, and I followed it. And that way we all made it out safe. So I couldn't be more grateful for my intuition than I am today. I have so many. I could share 100 stories probably about that. But I just want you to be encouraged to think about times that you have used your intuition and it has served you well. And then you may have times where you didn't listen to your intuition, and boy, it wasn't a good outcome, was it? And you wish you would have listened. I can remember one of those times, and I'll tell you one thing, it scared me to death. It was something that I had a hard time getting out of, but I made sure that I listened from then on. I don't slough it off. It's a very important part of who I am. And it's a part of who you are too. You just might not know it, and you just might not use it. You know, sometimes you might feel like you need to go home a different way. I know I have, and I always listen to that. And we'll never know what might have happened if we went the other way that we normally go. But I always feel good knowing that I've listened. And I'll tell you, I have gotten off plenty of planes in my lifetime due to intuition. I'll never know if my getting off saved that plane from an accident because I wasn't there or what. But I absolutely know that nothing could have kept me on that plane. And my mother is the same way. She was leaving out of the little Joplin airport one time, and we were looking at this other guy that I don't know was looking out the window. He had just put a loved one on the plane. And I looked at him, and it was taxiing off. And I said, my mother will never leave on that plane. He said, you're crazy. It's taxiing. I said, I don't care. She's not going. And do you know what? That plane went to the end of the runway, put on the brakes, turned around and came back, and my mother got off. I knew it. I knew she was going to do that. I live by my intuition. Thank goodness I do, or I could have driven off and she'd be sitting at the airport, have to call me. Oh my goodness. Intuition, that knowingness that I have, I listen to it, I act on it, I'm grateful for it, and I expect it. Now that word expect is a big word. It's not the same as welcome. You know, we have signs that say at a church saying we welcome visitors or whatever, or business will say welcome or whatever. That is not the same thing as expect. Welcome is if somebody shows up, I'm going to be nice. To expect someone is to look forward to and to prepare for and to look out the window. You're expecting someone. Well, that's what I am with intuition. I expect that information to come and I will listen to it. So intuition is a very important part of who we are as human beings. And when we don't use intuition, we're just not using a part of us, just like if we didn't use our right hand. If you just had your right hand taped to your belly or your midriff and you just never used it, our lives would be totally different. I mean, really, if you've ever had a broken arm or a hand where you couldn't use it, you know how different it is. Well, I'm telling you, that's what it is when you don't use your features. When you don't use the potential that is yours, it really changes the way you live. It changes your life and it changes your abilities. And I want you to have all your abilities. I want you to have all of your potential and exercise the features that are yours. They are you. They are not someone else, and they are not something that you buy like an add-on. It's you, and it comes with the package of you. So I trust that I have let you know some of the ways that I used my intuition, and it will encourage you to use your intuition. Intuition is experienced, it's lived. And wisdom gained from the understanding that comes from that experience cannot be faked. A lot of things are fake these days, especially in the spirit world, in the truth movement, quote unquote, which I don't believe even is anything. There's no such thing as a truth movement. It's people that say that word. But there are a lot of fakes in this movement, just like there are everywhere. There are a lot of psychopaths here. But there are certain things that can't be faked. And intention is one. We just talked about it earlier in this hour. And intuition is another. You either have it and use it, or you don't. And it's not something that can be faked, believe me. Just as any muscle must be exercised, and then you can count on that muscle when you need it. The same way with intuition. Right now, this minute, I need to know something specific in a few weeks. I know that I need to know it, but today, I don't know it. I don't know the information that I need for something that I absolutely have to do in a few weeks. And I know that I will know it before those few weeks are up. I absolutely have no idea about it this minute. But I know I will because I need to. And my intuition and all of the features that I exercise and all of those muscles that I work with are going to kick in and they're going to bring me that information that I need. And I will have it at exactly the time I need it. And I'm expecting it. I'm not welcoming it. Nope, I'm expecting it. I expect intuition to come to me and give me the information I need right when I need it. It won't come beforehand, but I will have it when I need it. I have an experiential relationship with my intuition. It is one of our features and potentials, and it is a true part of our human nature. I encourage you to use your intuition to acknowledge it, to be grateful for it, and to expect it. That's right. Expect your potential to be there, because it is. It's part of the package that is you. I really do appreciate being able to share these two so far, these two features that we have, intention and intuition. And in the second hour that's coming up, we'll be talking about imagination and the pineal gland. And it's a part of our package of being a human being, and yet very few people use their imagination and visualization. Not many people know very much about the pineal gland. So we're gonna talk that and encourage you to get into that part of you and learn it and experience it and expect what you can do when you use your feature of imagination. So that's our second hour. I appreciate you being with us in the first hour. I invite you to become a subscriber and join us in the members section for the second hour. This is Pamela Tartar. You're listening to Critical Mass on Pure Momentum Network. Join us in the second hour.
We invite all our listeners to join us in the members section for the second hour of all our shows. We encourage you to click on the subscribe button, choose a membership type, pay with PayPal, and voila, you're a member. Enjoy all Pure Momentum Network material, the second hour of all talk shows, extra interviews, and all archives.